Hello, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so very much for being here. Thank you for clicking on today's video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the 5 tips that I have applied to my reading that has literally doubled my reading. I am a slow reader and I genuinely thought that I was doomed on literally being able to read more. About a year ago, I was reading 2 to 3 books and I thought that was just the most that I was going to be able to read in 1 month. And then I started doing research. I started watching YouTube videos. I started watching TikToks. At one point, I literally downloaded an app to help me find ways to do so. About 6 months ago, during the fall time of last year, when I was doing my research, I learned that I can read 4 books in a month, and then 6 months later I learned to double that by reading 8 books in 1 month. And I thought, why not share all of those tips with you guys? I hope you enjoy, and let's get into the video. The very first tip that I want to talk about is DNFing books / soft DNFing books. So if you don't know what DNFing means, it's did not finish. Soft DNFing means you have the intentional plan on picking the book up, but you know that it's not for you right now. In the beginning of my reading journey, the last thing that I did was DNF a book. For whatever reason, I felt like I was quitting or giving up whenever I would DNF a book, and it got to the point where I was getting in reading slumps, to the point where I was not wanting to pick up a book for weeks at a time. In October, November time of last year is when I learned a lot about myself reading wise, and so since then, so 8 months later, I have not gotten in a single reading slump. So I feel that it's so important to DNF. Have you ever started a movie, started a TV show, and made yourself finish it if you weren't enjoying it? No. If you pick up a movie and you're 25 minutes in and you're like, this movie is so boring, are you gonna make yourself sit there for another hour, hour and a half and finish the movie? Absolutely not. So why are we doing that with reading? One cool tip, and I actually learned this from Sarah Caroli. One of her goals for the new year, I think this was actually in 2024, she said, if I'm not interested in the book and not really like having like a drive to read it, 25% way in through the book, I'm gonna soft DNF it, put it away, and just pick up another one. And when she said that, I was like, okay, I'm gonna practice that. Ever since then, if I've read 1 chapter and I am not interested and I'm not like in the mood, I put that book down, I soft DNF it and put it away. Soft DNFing and DNFing books to me is super important. You are not gonna get in a reading slump because you're catching that emotion of not wanting to read before it bleeds into every other book that you read. It's gonna take you so much longer to read a book that you are not enjoying than reading a book that you can't, quite frankly, can't put down. That leads me to my second tip, and what has really helped me is unhauling books. And I know what you're thinking, Yadisa, you're literally saying getting rid of books is gonna help me read more. Yes. When you look at your bookshelf and you see the books that are your 5-star reads or books that you're excited to read, and then it's almost like an eyesore. You see a book that you bought 3 years ago. You bought it because you're interested in the story, but for whatever reason, it's been 3 years, and all of a sudden, you could care less to read that book. Why are you gonna have that on your shelf if you know you're not going to read it? Give it away. That could be someone else's 5-star read and it's just an eyesore on your bookshelf. There is no reason to waste your time. And that's also a mind switch that I've had, is time is so valuable, obviously, but I applied that into reading, because instead of just like having that book on your shelf, finally getting yourself to pick it up, you're not interested in it at all. You just wasted like a week that you could have had spent reading your 5-star read. Instead of allowing that book to kind of just be daunting, why not just get it off of your shelf and spend that time on a book that you would much rather read? Now to the third tip that I have used, and I know I'm literally gonna catch you before you do it. Do not roll your eyes, because I did. Before you click out of this video, before you roll your eyes, before your mind starts to go, well, obviously, hear me out. My third tip is put your phone down. And now, you may literally click out of this video because you're like, you're telling me not to watch your video. But what I'm saying is look at how much time you are spending on your phone. You can literally look in your settings and see how many hours, or you can just become aware of how much you are picking up your phone rather than your book. This also leads me to, people will say they don't have enough time for reading, yet scroll on Instagram for 4 hours. You don't really realize just how much time you're spending on your phone until you say, oh, I don't have any time to read. But it's like, Miss Girl, you were just on TikTok for 2 hours. You could have spent those 2 hours on reading a book. When you're really overstimulated and super tired, for me, I just want to watch a YouTube video. Let yourself do that, but also be aware on how long you're doing that for when you could have been reading. I saw a huge shift in my reading when I was intentionally putting my phone down. I remember telling myself, I want to go into the new year with no more doom scrolling on TikTok. I saw just how much time that I was wasting on it. And that was when I have 1 hour screen limit on my social medias, and that was with 1 hour. I was still noticing that I was just putting so much time. And so then when TikTok was gonna get banned in January, I was like, this is my perfect time to not scroll anymore. And then TikTok didn't end up getting banned, but I still held myself accountable and told myself that I'm not going to doom scroll anymore. I found that I have so much time. Literally, this is so silly, but I talked to my boyfriend about this. Like, it was literally like February, March. I was like, I read 8 books, and I was like, where did this time come from? And then I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not spending it on my phone like I used to. And it literally blew my mind. Now, I'm gonna say something and it sounds so easy, but it's not, because I still struggle with it. But instead of picking up your phone, pick up your book. It's literally so simple to say, but it takes time to practice that. Now to my 4th tip, it's listening to audiobooks. I used to think that listening to audiobooks was also a cheat or like a way around actually reading. Like, it wasn't actually reading, but when you have that mind switch, dude, the world's your oyster. I have never been on top of my chores as much as I've been now. When I tell you I am doing laundry, I'm washing the dishes, I'm vacuuming, I'm cleaning litter, because I see that my audiobook has 45 minutes left and I'm going to find things to do around the house to listen to that audiobook. Obviously, it's not always cleaning. I indulge in my coloring, and coloring and listening to audiobooks is the best duo ever. It is so much fun because my brain can do something as mindless as coloring, but also be so entertained by this story that's playing in my ears. Listening to audiobooks is probably the fastest and easiest way to read more. Now to my last and final tip, my 5th tip. Why does that sound so funny? Now to my last and final tip on reading more is set a date of when you want to finish your book. Now, I'm not telling you that you need to quite literally put in your calendar, finish this book by the 25th, because then it's gonna feel like homework. What I mean is, if you set a date on when you want it finished, you're going to put your phone down, you're going to turn off the TV, you're going to stop wasting your time on those other things, and you're going to intentionally pick your book up, and it's gonna make it to where you are reading so much more. I learned with my reading speed that I can read a book a week. That gives me enough time to still indulge on watching YouTube, watching a movie, but that still made it to where I was being intentional with my screen time and with indulging in other things that weren't reading, and literally sitting my butt down and reading. 6 months ago I was taking easily 2 weeks to finish one book. So the fact that I learned that I can, if I put my phone down and I read, I can finish a book in a week, it doubled my reading in that way. And then naturally it became really easy to put my phone down. It became like a habit and like a routine to finish a book a week, to the point where it's easy for me to read a book a week, to the point where I can read 2 books a week, and then throw in that audiobook. I can consume 3 stories, 3 books in a week. That concludes today's video. I hope that this video was helpful and informative. If you have any questions at all, please comment them down below. That is going to be it for today's video. I truly hope that this video helped, and that's going to be it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!